Swasti Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahi Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahe Tejasvinavaditamasu ma vidvishavahe. Om Asato ma Sakamaya Tamaso ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukh Bhagavave. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Sai Ram. Good evening. Welcome to day 20 of our 40-day Parayanam. We've reached today the midpoint. So what started off on 1st of November, we've reached a very beautiful moment. I thank the Divine Consciousness. I thank my Guru, Bhagwan Shri Satya Sai Baba, for making this happen. And I thank all the masters for guiding us in the infinite wisdom of the self. And I thank all of you for being here and for being the reason for such a festival being celebrated. So yesterday we spoke about the whole idea that I am not the doer, and the illusion of doership comes from the mistaken understanding that I am the body. And we've been speaking about the self, the consciousness within. It was a little chaotic yesterday, but the consciousness made it happen from the airport. And thankfully, my laptop didn't work there. So it was my phone, and it allowed me to walk around. Wherever I would find more noise, I would walk around. So it was an interesting situation. And it tells you that how flexible we are in consciousness. Because in mind, we are rigid. But in the consciousness, there is only free flow. And you are not bound by any idea or any thought. And the consciousness just knows how to communicate. So despite the fact that we could see or not see, we could still communicate what had to be communicated. And that's the beauty of it. We remain always open. We always look at the solution, and we always look at the possibilities. And if you're always open and positive, everything happens. And it adds to the beauty of this journey. You know, when you know everything and when everything is predictable, journey can become very boring. And in fact, it started off early in the morning yesterday when I went out for a walk around the sea face in Bombay. And while walking on Bandstand, my attention came to a board which said that there was a Devi temple, which was a a Jagrat place, or that means a place where the presence of the Mother Goddess was palpable. And I found myself in that temple, the picture of which I had shared with you. And I had a very beautiful experience of seeing the Devi in front of me. And I was wondering, in a place which is known for the zenith of materialism, what was the Devi doing there and what was she showing me? And then as I started to walk back and I moved past the church of Virgin Mary, and I saw Mother again looking at me, and that is when it sunk in that yesterday was a ladies' day, and the lady herself was appearing. And then I had this, very interesting banter on our group about it being also International Men's Day. So, it is so beautiful how consciousness starts to relate itself. And, if you're aware of that presence, and if you're aware, and if you have no particular mind of your own, if you are not stuck to any particular way of being, and when you completely surrender yourself and you are open to the possibilities that the consciousness will bring to you, life becomes very interesting. It's never boring, I can tell you. Life with consciousness, there is joy in its unpredictability, and there is a joy in it's an adventure, because you don't know next moment what it's going to bring. And if you are open for something like that, I tell you, this journey that we have all embarked upon of experiencing the self, there's never a dull moment there. And it's not for the faint-hearted. It's not for those who are stuck up in their beliefs and ideas, of which we have been speaking now for 19 days, comes from our mind, because the consciousness has a mind of its own. We've said it's supremely intelligent. It just knows exactly what to do, when to do, how to do it. And so therefore, experiencing that is why we need to silence the mind. We will, I assure all of you who are so romantic about the mind and using mind all the time, we're not going to let the mind go. We are not just going to make such a beautiful instrument useless. I was telling somebody today that the consciousness and mind are in a intimate dance. It's like a tango. They dance together. Till now, it's the mind which, like the male in the dance, has been making the moves, and the consciousness has been following it. But to really enjoy what we've come here to experience, because Ananda, as we say, is a feeling of enjoyment that comes when it's the lady, which is the consciousness, which is leading the dance in the tango, and the mind is falling in line with that. And I can tell you, the dance moves becomes really good. So we will enjoy that experience immensely, but for some time we'll need to keep it aside, and we have to experience that stillness. So what is it that I really want to tell you today before we go into a stock taking, as we had discussed? I hope we're all ready for a little longish session today, and I'm covering up for yesterday's brief one. So today what we are discussing is that awareness is the key to transformation. All transformation begins to happen when we start becoming aware of something which we weren't aware earlier. And as we have spoken many times in the past few days, that even when the mind throws thoughts, when we start to become aware that the mind is feeding us with those thoughts, and when the light of the awareness is put on the mind is very smart. It does not like to be watched. The mind, like the rabbit which freezes when the headlights fall on it, in the same way the mind freezes when the light of awareness is put on it. It does not like anybody to watch it, because mind creeps on us unsuspectingly. And when we just become aware of the mind starts to retreat. And when we bring our awareness to the consciousness or to the heart, and when we stop giving attention to the urgings and cravings of the mind, then something starts to happen. There is some presence that we start to experience. And this is in a same message is communicated by the masters of Advaita Vedanta. Like Maharishi Ramana, he says, I'm putting the same thing in a perspective of what Maharishi Ramana says, for example. When he says that everything is preordained and all that must happen will happen or is happening, which is what we call as the law of karma, right? We've spoken about it, that whatever is coming in front of us is actually coming from our past actions. We talked about the cause, the action, and the effect. So when everything is coming to us already and it is happening by its own intelligence, then where is the question of time? Because all is happening as it must happen. Like, for example, I had never imagined that we will ever do a 40-day session like this, a Parayanam, till we just opened ourselves to it and it started to happen. And today, we are 20 days into it. Actually, I just feel, it wasn't just possible till some time back that, we can keep discussing this, about the same thing for 20 days. Somebody asked me, from where do you talk so much? I said, I don't know. If I were to think how do I talk, then I will never even get the idea of what to say. But somehow I sit here and I see your lovely faces and something happens and I start talking. So everything is unfolding as it must. And that's the reason, if it is unfolding as it must, and then there means, therefore time itself becomes an illusion. So the best thing is therefore not to react. Be silent, observe everything and do not react. And that's exactly the message of Satya Sai Baba, with the example of watching the screen and watching the play of the world happening when all these thoughts start getting projected. So if you look at it, when you start to sit there as a witness and as an observer, you become still. And in that stillness, you experience a presence. And that presence is what is called as the I am, or the self, or the consciousness, or the Atman, or whatever you want to call it, as the thing, as that which is mystical, or whatever else you would like to call it. And this presence is always there, is always present. It never goes. The only thing that goes and comes is the awareness. So pretty much that means that the key of our transformation is in awareness. Because what we were not aware about till a few days back, and we thought that the supreme thing was the mind. And when we started to get into the idea of consciousness, and as we are starting to be deeper into those moments of stillness, of that energetic presence, of that higher self coming in and out, we started to come in connection with that consciousness through the awareness. So it's really the awareness which, if it is there, then we remain in the experience, then we understand that everything flows from that awareness. And whenever the mind comes in and we start getting involved with the thoughts and ideas and opinions and judgments that the mind throws at us, our awareness automatically goes away. So therefore, the only way to bring the mind back into the consciousness is to be aware of the mind and its tricks. So when we get caught in the mind think, we should be able to see that we are getting caught in it. And the minute we see that we are getting caught in it, and that all these thoughts, all these questions, all these doubts are coming from the mind, we are already beginning to pull it back. So which means there is actually no need to make any special effort, no special breathing technique, no special mantra, no special sitting technique that we have to employ other than being in the awareness of the self. And as we start getting connected, we start becoming still and we start observing all that is going on within and outside of us. Because remember, we are not reacting. We are not getting involved now. We've withdrawn and we've chosen to be in the role of the observer, of who's sitting and watching the thoughts coming in on the white screen. And that is when the consciousness starts to shift, because we are no longer getting involved in the urgings of the thoughts and the mind. And that's why these masters have said said that the highest teaching is the teaching of silence. All the knowledge, all the wisdom flows in silence. I remember those 2 years that I would go and sit in the presence of my master, Satya Sai Baba. For a week, I would sit in his presence and he would never talk to me. Whatever happened between him and me, all happened in silence. What we are doing now when we speak is just a preparation for the final experience which will come to us in silence. Because before I could perceive everything in silence, I had to go through a lot of Shravana, Manana and Nididhyasana. We're all becoming still in these 20 days of journey. And I'm going to ask each one of you today to please share your experience. And your experience is in your hands because each one is getting something different because each is putting in a different effort. Each one is at a different stage because each one is giving it a different perspective. So we're all getting what we are putting in and how we are approaching it. So really, words are actually not required, for everything in the world exists in silence. And in silence, we transcend the entire idea of time and space. Because when you are in silence, you lose complete track of time and complete track of space. And what opens up to us is a brand new dimension. And that is called the dimension of nothingness, Shunya. And that nothingness is our real home. It's a place where we actually belong. In this deep silence, there is no good, no bad. There is nothing to achieve. There is no trying. It is just a state of pure beingness where you transcend your body, your mind, your affairs, your relationships, and even the entire universe, because there is only beingness. And this state of true beingness is a state of being absolutely free, because there is nothing that is screaming in your head and telling you to do. You don't have to be anywhere where you don't want to be. You don't have to do what you don't want to do. You are in this state of nothingness. This is the freedom. This is the moksha. This is the liberation, where you are not being forced into anything that you are not comfortable with. This feeling of complete comfort, of complete presence, of being at home, that ease, that happens when we have reached that stillness, that silence, and that nothingness. And this is where there is neither a birth nor death, because all concepts are coming from our mind, and the mind itself melts here. And what we experience is this attributeless consciousness, and all that exists is the self, and I am that. So all that we have been carrying so far in our mind, we just need to put it in the trash can and then permanently delete the trash can, because this is only extra baggage on this journey, and this baggage is not helping us at all. That's why Baba used to say, less baggage, more comfort. And if we can abide in this nothingness, then we truly experience that oneness. And in this oneness, everything starts to happen. A world of its own opens up, and true living really starts then. I was telling a friend today that a lot of people have this mistaken notion that when we get connected with this nothingness, this consciousness, then we may become useless to the world and to ourselves. But I can tell you, truly, our work truly begins once we become one with that. Because there is no separation left between ourselves, our work, our private life, our spiritual life. Everything becomes one. Everything is actually who we truly are. So when you express yourself in the authenticity, then how can there be tiredness? How can there be anything that will make you either do something or not do something? I now understand how the masters can keep on helping everyone, and they have an inexhaustible energy, because for them there is no separation. There is no gap between what they think, what they say, and what they do. They have fully purified their thoughts, their words, and their actions. And these are all the steps that we have gone through in the last 20 days. And if you just start practicing all that we have spoken about, discussed about, and if we start remaining in the awareness of this understanding, that is when the experience starts coming to us. And that experience starts to shift things for us. So just be still and know that you are God. In your awareness, other than the awareness of your divinity, of your consciousness, of yourself, there should be no other thought. And if you are able to hold on to this thought that I am divine, I am that, I am the self, then you will see that the mind will start to take a backseat. Hold on to this truth and surround yourself with reminders of that. Wherever you are, just surround yourself so that everything that you touch, everything that you see, everything you do flashes a message to you that you're divine. And if in the next 20 days we can manage to do this, I'm assuring you that you will experience a completely new you. And that's why these notes that you are taking in your journal are so important, because not only you have noted down what you have gained, but you've also noted down your own personal experiential journey, a day-to-day journey. And when you look back after 40 days at the daily progress that you've made, you'd be amazed that it is you, where you were 40 days before, what really happened to you. That's how when we go for a pilgrimage, especially at a far-off place like a mountain, we really don't know how we reach there and we come back. It's only when we reach back we realize that we made it. So if we take every moment as it is coming, and if we are remaining true to what we are gaining here, and if we are doing the manana and the nididhyasana, and really there is not much to do. All this we have done so far is to tell you you're not the mind and you are the self. You are the consciousness. And that consciousness is supreme. And if you hold on to that consciousness and you keep reminding yourself and you remain in awareness and as a witness, you will see you'll start becoming silent. You will see you will stop reacting. You will see that you are more in control of yourself. You will see that what you need to know, that comes to you. You will see that all the other things that you've done so far were really not necessary. And you will start to experience the power of the self. So is it possible to do for the next 20 days to remain in the experience of the self? Please raise your hands and show me. Yes, good. Raising hands on this is also nice. So that's pretty much what I wanted to share today as a roundup of this milestone that we have reached today. When we go to Vaishno Devi in India, we call it the Atkuari, means halfway stage. So it's a beautiful milestone. And God bless you all. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Samast Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samast Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samast Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.